question though, Scarlett, and
Saiyada.
you think the days of the holding midfielders are over? Like, find these teams who trying to play that pivot kind of football struggling a lot to
Mm-hmm.
create and struggling a lot to defend.
No, it depends on the system that you're playing too, because
Agreed.
everybody now trying to play attacking football. And when you're playing attacking football and you have a supposing holding mid, the holding mid not going to stay. He going to serve as a box to box. And when he box to box, you're going to have gaps in midfield.
When
And,
goal score.
yeah, so that is why teams struggling, because they're just trying to play this fast attacking FIFA
Yeah.
21 football now.
Okay, okay.
And I
So
think a lot of the players, like, okay, like in United case, for example, other teams, I feel like when players start to feel that pressure, they forget that you have somewhere you need to be. Even though you're not there all the time, you need to get back to where you were. Like, I just look at Rashford running up and down the field, but still being, most times, still being where he needs to be. And then you're looking at other players in the mid, other players in the defense that,
like Pogba, like say Pogba.
yeah, like Paul Abel Pogba. Like you're not running back, you're not doing what
Going
you're supposed to be
forward,
doing. Like, yeah, like you just, it's like the panic taking you over and you're completely forgetting all the tactics. Like that, I think tactics is fly out at players' heads when things start to get a little too sticky.
But you think that's a problem with the manager firstly not being able to drill it in properly or having
To be honest, I
not
think I think if you have a professional career in football, like yes, the manager have a lot to do with it, but you suited for a specific position, and if you even if your manager don't drill it or don't say it enough or do say, well, you know what you have to do, run up, run back, or run back, run forward, whatever the case is, you as a professional footballer supposed to have that prior knowledge now. Like you don't need a manager to tell you every little thing.
while I agree, right? I feel like it's kind of weird. So I'm an engineer, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a chemical engineer.
Okay.
Just anyway, you hire me to be a chemical engineer, but then all my tasks are secretarial work
Mm-hmm.
or manual labor work that don't require me to use these skills
Yeah.
that I have. And then you want to just tell me, say, hey, just go do thing because I paying your
Mm-hmm.
salary. You have to accept that there will be a lot of friction.
Right.
And then that friction looks differently for a professional footballer than it does for me. So for me, it might mean that I don't want to go to work every time I get in gripe to do this work that I don't like to do. I go to work late, or I do the work, but I don't want to talk to my supervisor none at all. So something has
Yeah.
to suffer. I guess with a footballer being a performance sport, maybe them performance suffer because their mentality is not right.
It's true.
So while I understand that you have to be professional and thing, but some of the times it's like you feel betrayed because when I remember the onboarding that you had, for example, oh, this is what we're offering you, this is what you're gonna do, this is what
Yeah.
you're gonna get. It's like you're pumped and you're ready and you're rearing, but then when you look, it's like you're on the bench coming off for 4 minutes. You know, like in FIFA when them sign you and them tell us that your squad role is important or critical. If you and then you feel like a rotation player or something less than that, it kind of affect you. And if the manager is not good at communicating his confidence or his plans, then it becomes an issue. I said this before. People say that Ole is like stern in the background and thing when he's not on camera and he does rough up the team and thing. But I still don't feel like there is that. I don't see it that respect that the club players have for him. You see, like
Exactly.
how even though Salah vex when Klopp take him off, he know that Klopp is the man.
Yeah.
And him believe in whatever Klopp doing, even though Mane vex when him coming off. Firmino less so, but you can see say them still know say yo, the boss is the boss.
Yeah, the first
don't get the
episode
feeling.
I did here with the podcast, that was exactly what I was talking to David and the guys about. The connection with the manager has not been there for a long time.
Doesn't you can see it.
And this is what I was talking about. Like, especially with United, I feel a lot of their private business is always out on the field. Like you will always see a commentator saying, you know, heat with Pogba and Mourinho, heat with Pogba and Ole, like something, you know,
Yeah.
is to the point. Is I feel like the communication is so bad to the point that it has been made public that United players and their managers do not gel well. And this is what I keep saying, like it's 50% managers, 50% players.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that balance, and that's what I think the problem is. We don't have that balance. Like you could have the worst team, and if you instill in that like faith and belief in your players that okay, we might not be the best, but this is what we're gonna do, this is what works for us. You're guaranteed to see an increase in performance. You will not go and win the league right away. But at least your players are willing to go out and give their all. And I can't
But
remember
now I telling people with this Chelsea
United
side.
has been given their all. You know?
Yeah.
Can't remember the last time I see that kind of, except for Ferguson days, I can't remember the last time I see that kind of
Yeah.
motivation to want to go there and want to do it.
Because to your point, of all the top 4 teams, we consistently had the worst team on paper under Ferguson.
Yes, exactly.
The club's net spend was enormous. That's why they loved him, because he never bought a lot of players. He
Yeah.
never bought a lot of expensive players. Our net spend was always very good for business.
And he promoted a lot of academy players, so that helped a lot.
For sure,
That's
for
true.
sure. So you see, there is kind of a plan towards, okay, this is our identity and we're trying to build around this. We have not had that in a while, because a lot of these players are carryover players from other managers' projects, and they're
Yeah.
not quite translating properly. We don't know what our style of play is. You know, Klopp has the pressing game, City trying to play that possession football or that mini possession press.
I think
We have
people
no
need to-
identity. We have no identity.
Exactly. I think people need to have a conversation. Managers need to have a conversation with who's the manager of Leicester again?
Brendan
Brendan
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
Right. No, he was the manager when they won the league.
Ranieri.
Nah, Ramia.
People need to have a conversation with him and ask him what he did that year they won the league. Like, I just want to know what like why it have no. Oh, and the next thing to realize is a lot of people that is, especially here with commentators, they assume that because a manager might have been a Chelsea player or might have been a United player in the past, that things
It
supposed
qualifies
to,
them.
yeah, like you know, it's supposed to be perfect. Your record's supposed to be perfect, but I think they fail to realize that yeah, you could have played for United 20 years ago, but it don't mean that when you come back now, it's going to be
Nobody
the same.
cares.
Yeah, like nobody. If I was a United player and I hear my manager was a past United player and it's somebody like Ole, I would have been like, okay.
Maybe if it was like Scholesy or one of them.
Yeah,
then
well, I would have been like, all right, I had to do my best. Like, yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like, I mean, things like that, you know? I think the media especially has put like unnecessary pressure on past players to make it and prove themselves.
No, well,
But I
as
think-
as
but I
Ramia
think-
was saying, Lampard do have a pressure. Lampard just getting the chance to make mistakes and just do what he wants.
Yeah.
But
I
I
guess it's who, because as you say, if it was Scholes in charge, if it was Beckham in charge, if it was maybe Neville would have get some stick. But if it was Scholes, Beckham, them kind of players, it would be a lot less pressure on them, a lot less talk in the media and things. What you gonna say, Ramia?
yeah, so I was going to say something to that effect. It kind of slipped me, but it was basically something to the effect of what you were saying. But like identity is very important for teams. Look at Wolves.
Look at Leeds.
Look at Leeds. Look at Wolves.
Damn.
They don't have the most technically gifted players, but you know
Right.
that they have a system, and everybody seems to understand, and they buy players for the system.
Yeah.
We have had too many haphazard managers coming down, no system, players just who the manager like, and then it just get left behind and trailing. Luke Shaw trailing, Bailly trailing, Pogba trailing, everybody trailing, and it's like every time a manager comes, they try to reinvent the wheel, and then
Yeah.
when they eventually get sacked, the club is in a worse off position. And then
I
what
think
has happened now is that our record has been so tainted that it seems like nobody wants to do business with us.
Yeah. And the thing too is, I find like a lot of the top clubs, it just said the zeal not there anymore. It's kind of like, well, we only top for so long. We don't need to do our best, or don't really need to have that motivation.
Yeah.
And you can't keep doing that. Premier League is so unpredictable, as we have been seeing. Like teams like Leeds, teams who have been in the second division and been promoted to Premier League, we have that once because they have to now prove themselves. Like we come up here, we can't blow it. And I think that's a bad kind of mentality that the big teams sort of develop. Like we know we will never be relegation zone, so it don't matter if we went from first to fifth. We still on the top of we still on the top half of the table.
Yes.
And I think that you don't see these big players wanting to play. You don't see them playing with like excitement and hunger to want to win the game. Is more of a, well, let us not concede or let us not lose the game.
All right.
Let us win.
Question, Saiyada. Do you think, as you're mentioning that whole mentality paradigm shift, do you think our generation is softer than back then, at least mentally, or is it that we're a lot more distracted? Because I don't think Scholesy was on Instagram and getting all these rave ratings from the girls them in Mexico and Belize. He probably was right. He would have been a terrible footballer, I think.
I feel like
he's mentally when they win a game, they go to the pub and they lime and they connect with the fans and they go back to training. These men just be on socials.
Yeah.
People telling them all kind of thing like they are the second coming of Christ. And they may really achieve nothing. Look at how the media hyped up Lingard to the point that people thought that Lingard was a real footballer, like a real superstar. It's crazy. And then I feel like a lot of these players now live in this delusion. So it's like they come here, if they don't play for 2 weeks, or they want to leave. If they don't, I understand, as I said before, with the feeling of betrayal and thing when you come in for a purpose and it changed and it wasn't communicated. But if they don't play for 2 weeks, they want to leave the club or them have to play out a position. It's like everybody coming with this prima donna kind of mentality, like I am the I am that I am. And I have to get my way and it has to go my way or else I fold my arms. So do you think it's because we are softer now, or it's because we are more distracted, or thirdly, we're trying to keep up with that image of I have to be a superstar once I'm a footballer, so I'll do what superstars do without developing the capacity to get away with doing what superstars do?
I think it's actually a bit of all three, to be honest, because I feel like back then players, like they had that understanding that if I don't perform a specific way, we're gonna have repercussions. Like this is something I need to do. But I think players now don't see themselves as part of a team, if we're being honest. Like, okay, when Lingard was in his prime, I don't think Lingard saw himself as I am in my prime with Manchester United. I think he saw himself as I am in my prime, and so it is making United look big. Back then, like, yes, it had the better players. Like, yes, it would have had the stars, the Ronaldos, the Messis of the teams. But back then, it was if I win, my team wins. Like, it's a celebration for everybody.
It's a service for the team.
Now I think players have it in their heads that their stats need to be for themselves.
My brand.
The goal now is I need to be the best for me, not I need to be the best for myself and my club. You know, it's like once they score a big goal, like I must, as you say, like nothing is wrong with posting on social media and stuff like that. Like that's the age we live in now. Like you can't get away from it. But it, I think, it making the players a little too conceited. Like you're missing the goal of playing as a team. You know. And I
Our,
think, yeah, I think it is making everybody soft, and it is taking away from the team aspect of things. And players do want to become stars in a sense.
our Ramia you mentioned brand. I think brand and sponsorships have a lot to do with the climate of football now,
No,
the
of
climate of
course.
players.
Yeah.
Because players just doing things now for the bag. If you watch Neymar was a Nike ambassador, then Jordan's ambassador, and now Puma. Neymar brand more important than his football right now.
And that's just it. And that's what I think the problem is. Like when you lose sight of why you started doing it in the first place. Like nobody is saying that your goal is going to remain the same thing it was from the very beginning. Like obviously when you achieve something, you're gonna keep building on it.
No, but if you're playing
But
football, your goal should be football to get
this is
better in the game.
this is my thing. Like, okay, so look at example. This has nothing to do with football, but I don't know if you all know like the guy who's been playing Fleetwood Mac and being on his skateboard and drinking the entire bottle of cranberry ocean spray cranberry, right? Like he was not trying to promote the brand, but now that he's being recognized, he's still doing something that he loves. Like he's not losing sight of what he was doing originally, you know, like he's not conforming in a sense to become some big superstar. And that's what I think players losing sight of. Like you don't need to change your image or become more like in the limelight in a sense to be recognized on social media or things like that. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing well as a footballer, you will be recognized. You know, you
Yes.
will get a hype, you will get a fame.
Yeah.
But you can't not do what you're doing and still try to get it. It don't work like that.
Yes. Yes. You hit the
Like
point.
yeah,
You
like
hit
look
it.
at people like look at Ronaldo for example.
I
Like
was just about to say that.
look how much money he's making aside from football because of the other contracts he has. And he built that for himself not by wanting to do it on social media alone, but because his numbers speak for him. You know, his talent speaks for him. He invests in what he is good at and he is reaping the rewards of it. But
Facts.
Lingard, for example, you cannot invest in social media and expect to see an outcome on the
On the
field.
football, correct. And
Don't work like that.
I, I love that you brought that up because
Yeah, it's a passion. That's in the corner there.
yes, it is something that I contemplate. All right, so you might not know, but I'm also an artist.
Okay.
So I sing and I write music and that kind of thing. I
You
used to
could go
play.
and listen to his song on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah, I
Wait,
used to
send me the link.
I used to play in a band with Scarlett. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he was a drummer, I was a lead singer. But a thing I noticed was like I listened to a lot of older music, and the messages were so different. Like the messages were about healing, and the messages were about love, and the
Mm-hmm.
messages were about understanding self, transforming self, being of service to the environment and to your society. Noble causes, but their musicianship was also top tier.
Right.
And they went to school, or if they couldn't afford to, they made sure that they mastered whatever it is they were doing.
Right.
And then that brought them notoriety, and then it brought them the impact. But I feel like in this generation, we're trying to have that impact instantly without
Exactly.
building a real foundation, a real capacity to do well.
Yeah.
So even in my own mind, it's something I thought with a lot. Like I'm not very engaging on social media because it's just not my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd rather talk to you face to face. I actually don't like to text. I don't like to talk digitally. It's kind
Right.
of annoying because I'm a very expressive person. But I'm saying maybe I need to do some more stuff to promote my social media. But
Yeah.
then when I was taking stock, it was like, aha, but you're not singing every day though. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing the vocal training that you're supposed to do. Aha, you're not exercising vigorously or frequently enough to get fit. So you can perform well on stage. You're not reading the songwriting books. You're not, so it's that craftsmanship now where,
Exactly.
as opposed to, oh, maybe I could just do these things that would get me followers without actually leading my own self to a point where I would be seen as somebody worthy to be followed. And I find now in the football space, especially with the English players, especially the English players in my team,
Yeah.
it's a case where you can see in their on-field performances that they don't spend a lot of time training and training and training. And if you listen to stories of Scholesy and Carrick when Cristiano Ronaldo was there, the
Yeah.
work ethic, he's still the first person to come in and train at Juventus, and he's still the
He's
last person to
right, and the
leave.
last person to leave.
And the
And
man is the greatest thing
this
ever
is
to
my
do
thing.
it.
Like, he does
These
not
men,
need to do it.
these men score 3 goals in a weekend and feel like they're rich. So that
I
that
think
that
the
is
problem too is that a lot of I wouldn't say new generation because they are not from this generation, but this generation of football tend to forget where they come from and why they started doing it in the first place. I mean, a lot of our footballers have stories where they obviously were not the most wealthy, did not come from a rich family, had to make their way up.
I think we see that especially in local football and Caribbean football.
Exactly, but I feel like when you make your way, you also can't lose sight of why you did it in the first place. You can't make $1 million and stop there and expect to continue being a millionaire. You know, it's something that you need to keep building, and I think this is what a lot of the footballers will be losing out on. Is like the whole mental aspect, the whole psychological aspect of it is not very present. Like football is not purely physical; there's a lot to do mentally as well. So mentally, if your mind is not in the place where it's supposed to be, or you lose sight of your goals, you have nothing to show for it. But these footballers, they're still getting paid, they're still popular, so to them it's like, why? I mean, I already reached this far. Maybe I don't need to work on it because it's still working out, it's still benefiting me. But is it? Is it benefiting in the long run? Because
No,
when you retire from football and you have no income, what are you going to do? Because you did not
and
better
you still
yourself in the
just
time you had to do it.
they still have the old time players like Kante and them who only focus on the
Yeah.
football. I can't he have a social media account, but I don't think he does run it, to be
Yeah.
He
honest.
does.
And
I
that's
think he have
fine.
a I
That's
think he have
fine.
a
Like,
manager.
it's okay to not have one,
And
and it's okay to
he
have
only
one.
focus obviously for keeping our social media
Yeah.
personality sake. But Kante is the guy who is just putting the work on the field and only focus on the
And it
football.
shows. And
I
the thing is, he has a
exactly
presence. He
exactly
has an online presence. And
exactly.
that's because the work that he's doing shows for it. And I mean, it's completely fine to be a footballer that's be TikToking every day, but you need to be
Gotta be
scoring goals. You
TikToking
need
on
to
the
be
field.
defending. Exactly.
Well, like
That is
Lewandowski,
exactly
you
why I
know.
said TikTok, because he's doing what he's doing off field, but he's also doing what he needs to do on.
And
It
he
must
doesn't
have
do.
a balance.
Yeah,
I think that's a big problem, the
I think.
psychological part of it.
Yeah, we're in an era where we're overvaluing um popularity and undervaluing capacity.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think this was a good conversation.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, telling viewers to stay tuned for a little inspiration coming on to the end there.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it was fun, guys. Thanks to Yara and Ramia for
No
coming on.
problem.
No problem, no problem.
And guys, thanks for subscribing to Tier 4 TV. We finally passed the 200 subscriber mark, so big up for that, and big up to you all for supporting us. And we will give back. We do have a giveaway coming, so
What are we giving away?
we're giving away a hoodie and a jersey.
We can enter.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay, I want it. I will do
separate,
it.
separate and apart from this giveaway, where can I buy T4 TV merch?
You could DM the Instagram page or message the Facebook page.
Yeah, stay with to the advertising.
Yeah, you need to do that though. Because I never know that and I'm on the pod every week.
Well, yeah, we do need to work on marketing, but that will come. That will come.
Yeah, agreed. But
Yeah.
I'm going to have to DM that page real.
Well, it will be kind of a bit of trouble to get to you in Jamaica, but we will make it happen, sir.
Always. I forgot all in not shipping from the States, man.
Well, we will make it happen, sir. But,
Yeah, it will work out. It will work out.
well, hope to see you guys next time on the pod.
Yep.
Hashtag Lampard out.
All right, guys. Next time.
Bye.
Alright.